give it about 60 more seconds and then we'll get started. All right, we will get started. Again, another reminder, this is being recorded, so feel free to be off camera and please stay muted until at the end when we're giving a time for questions. First of all, congratulations. You have received a grant from Maryland Energy Administration Residential Energy Equity Program. At this time, I am program manager of that program. That will change likely next month, but we'll do introductions again at that time. So again, I'm Angel Sauls, program manager for Residential Energy Equity Program at Maryland Energy Administration. And we have other team members as well that I will introduce you to. One of them is managing another commitment, and his name is Gus Norbum. And he mainly works on the energy efficiency side of the program, handling the monthly reporting and the back and forth with invoicing and all of that. And then we also have Sean Stewart, who does a lot of the communications and then also works mainly on the solar program, making sure that those invoices are correct and getting paid out. And so you'll be able to likely hear from Sean later on in the call, but I just wanted to introduce our names. We also work with a technical contractor. They are Newport Partners, and we do have them on the call today. They will be introducing you to the reporting documents that are going to be required of you, and so we'll get to that shortly. I just wanted to say, first of all, thank you for your commitment to promote clean, affordable, reliable energy and energy-related greenhouse gas emission reductions to benefit Marylanders. And that is a goal of not only MEA, but also the governor. So we appreciate your partnership in that. It is our goal to make the program easy for you to run. We have a lot of open communication. We do these webinars when necessary. We offer one-on-one training, one-on-one calls, check-ins, all of that. So we really want you to be successful at running the program at your organization. So please feel free to reach out anytime you need to. The best email is the one you submitted your application to. That is the residentialenergy.mea@maryland.gov. That is the first email you should always contact, and that is because it is managed by the three of us, myself, Gus, and Sean. And so that makes sure that your requests or matter can be addressed in a timely fashion. And I also wanted to let you know that your grant agreement is your first line of defense. So whenever you have a question about what can and cannot be done or how something works, you should first reference your grant agreement. It is a very long document. We do admit that. However, that's where all the information that you need on whether something is allowable or not is going to be located. If it's still unclear, and that certainly might be the case, again, you can email that residentialenergy.mea@maryland.gov email. And then obviously we are available by phone, Sean, Gus, and I, and those numbers are attached to our direct emails, which you should also have at this point. I do want to also say that we have a YouTube channel. So this video is being recorded, as well as past iterations of this kind of call, along with monthly reporting trainings, are all on our YouTube channel. And that will be sent out once this video is uploaded. We will send out a link so that you all can rewatch, or send it to your team members that need to watch this training as well and just weren't available, at this time. I want to also let you know that we have a process for quality assurance. And so, as well as our check-ins throughout your grant cycle, there may be times where we're requesting that we come and do a site visit. That might be remote, or it might be in person. So just make sure when you're talking to the residents that you're servicing, that you let them know that it's a possibility that we want to come and take a look and just verify the work that's being done. Also, we welcome testimonials. So if you have a particularly excited resident or building owner, and they just want to shout from the mountaintops, we would love to have that information. We tend to have quite a bit of news articles, press releases. The governor's office talks about our program a lot. And we really want to be telling those success stories. So please do share when you have a moment. There's also a time at the end of the full grant cycle where we're sending out a survey that's going to ask questions and give you the opportunity to share success stories as well at that time. So that's also an option. But all throughout the grant cycle, we welcome you to share with us your success stories. So that's quality assurance. We talked about communications, the YouTube channel. I didn't want to rush, but we can start heading toward the monthly reporting. One thing before we get to that, actually, there are a set of documents that you should be submitting within 30 days of having received your fully executed grant agreement. So I'll just go over those really quickly, but everyone should have received an email. I have received some, so thank you for getting that to us in a really timely manner. But I wanted to also go over what those requirements are. So give me one moment. And I will get to that list. So if you are an AOI 1 grant recipient, we have taken care of your Maryland Historical Trust waiver. It is done by measure, not by specific property. And so you have that, but if you are AOI 2, there is a process for you to request that for each home that you want to address. So we'll need to reach out to one another, and you can give us your list of addresses that you're ready to start working on, and we will submit those to our internal Maryland Historical Trust person, and they will give you the waivers for those addresses. What we learned from Fred is that just submit every address, no matter what age the property is, or if you think it may not need it. Let him be the judge, basically. Submit every address. He will just quickly give a waiver for the ones that don't need that. And then also will provide with requirements for the ones that do. So AOI 1, just to be clear, is the energy efficiency work. AOI 2 is solar work. The other thing that's needed is if your timeline has changed at all from the submittal of your application, please give us an updated timeline. That is important so we can make sure that you're working through these funds in a timely fashion and can get through them before the end of the grant cycle. We're not scrambling. It also gives us a chance to assist if there's some reason that things are moving a little slow. Maybe your contractor failed or whatever is the case. We want to be able to be a resource to help you make sure you're moving through these funds. So let us know if your timeline has changed at all. Certificates of insurance, naming Maryland Energy Administration as the additionally insured. That is important for all of the contractors you're working with and for the homes that they're going to be going into. You want to submit that to us. The list of contractors you're using and along with their licenses. So whatever is their required license, if it's an MHIC or plumbing or electrical, whatever it is, please provide that. If you have BPI certified individuals working, we need their certifications. We need a copy of what you have created as your income verification form so we can make sure that you do have a way to be verifying that these residents actually income qualify. The NAPCEP certifications for your solar installers or workers. And then if you have AOI 2 category 2, which is solar by PPA, you want to provide us with a sample of your power purchase agreement. Okay, so everyone should have received an email explaining what is required documentation within 30 days. Please keep those documents coming in. Let me make sure I've admitted everyone. Okay, that's great. I think that should be, let me go through my checklist and make sure. All I need to say before we jump into what the monthly reporting looks like and the timeframes for that. I did want to let you know that the document that you will be submitting for AOI 1 energy efficiency that we're going to go over shortly, that will be sent out after the call. So it could potentially be next week when you get that. But you should have it in time to start submitting invoices in July. And then the online form for solar submittal will also come after the call. And if you have a solar grant agreement with us. That process is changing. So we have some veteran grantees on the call. There was a time when you could just submit solar whenever you have completed a job. Now that submittal and reporting will be done on a monthly schedule so we can line up with processing energy efficiency invoices as well. And that way nothing falls through the cracks and we're doing everything on a scheduled rotation. Okay, I am going to ask our partners from Newport if they are ready to introduce themselves and then talk through the monthly reporting attachment and the solar form. And if so, you should be able to share your screen. Let me know if you can't, and I will go on mute. Okay.
I can't hear you, Rebecca.
Everyone, I'm Rebecca. I'm with Newport Ventures. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, great. Thank you. And I am mostly working with the monthly report that you submit every month. So with that being said, I am going to share my screen to show you the reporting that you send to MEA every month. Just a reminder that this document is one document that you will use throughout the whole fiscal cycle. Okay, so this is AOI 1 energy efficiency. This document here, oh, sorry about that. This document here, you will submit every month. As you can see here, we have instructions below here. This will give you information on how to complete the monthly report. And then if you go to the monthly summary tab, this is where all your information will be given. So you'll have your organization, your grantee name, your ID, your state, your address, contact information, things of that nature. This portion of the monthly summary is automated from the MRA tab. So we asked that you do not overwrite any formulas in this section. Okay. This is populated automatically from the MRA. As you can see here, this is the part that you will fill in every single month. Here, you will add your address. As you move over, you can see county, project category, meaning, excuse me, if it is whole house, new construction, limited upgrades, residential. As we move over, original heating, we'd like you to fill out. All this information needs to be filled out. Residents in the home that are going to be served. And then we get to this portion here, which is the solar screening. This is new to FY26. Listed in the FOA, it states that every grantee is required to conduct a solar screening, a preliminary solar screening at each project where AOI1 is conducted. So please note that you have looked at the building, see if it is viable to have solar allowed at the property. Give us the roof orientation, the roof pitch, shading conditions, roof conditions, things of that nature. Okay. Please let us know if you had a BPI test audit was completed. Then we get more to the measures of what was completed in the home for that month. So you put the address down for where the work was completed, and say you did $100 of lighting. Please add that there. If you added any dishwashers, refrigerators, any appliances, please add the amount also there. HVAC, same thing. Water heaters, home envelope, attic insulation, air sealing, any of that nature goes in the home envelope section. So for example, I'll say you did $5,000 for home envelope. As we move across, you'll notice that everything calculates throughout this whole worksheet. So again, please do not change any formulas, as this all works as one moving piece. As we move over, you have health and safety. And also, if you have questions on the health and safety, you notice that there's a link above here. If you click on the link, it'll give you a definition of what health and safeties are allowed. Each home has a $1,500 cap. So then you can add also, please describe the description of what health and safety was added to the home. Gives us an understanding of what was completed. Electrical panel circuit service upgrade costs. This is a maximum of $3,000 per residence, as well as the health and safety. If you click right here, it will bring you right to the definitions, which will help you understand what exactly those requirements are. This is something new we also implicated in for FY26. This column right here adds up all of the measures, programmatic costs, as well as health and safety and electrical panel upgrades, which enables energy saving measures. So when we calculate simple payback, it comes from this number because we do not add in the training or admin expenses. So that's something new that is on the FY26. We just wanted to point that out to everybody for returning grantees. Excuse me. As we move along, as you see, we have training expenses. Again, definition there if you have questions throughout the fiscal year. Admin costs. This is a big one. So I do notice as I receive reports every month, so I look at them every submission. I do notice a lot of admin costs. We would like to ask if you have just an admin cost that doesn't relate to the home specifically, if you would please add it to the address column as just admin cost, right? So say you have 2 homes above that and you just have admin costs. Just put admin costs there so we don't relate it to a specific home. So then you would put that in the admin section. $5,000 for admin. And as you move over, this column here is the MEA total costs per month. So this adds in the admin and the training expenses. As you can see here, we do have limitations on your cap of spending for each resident. Up to $8,500 without electrification measures, up to $21,000 with electrification for HVAC or DHW system. Limited, inclusive, or indirect and indirect costs. As mentioned, this is all calculated throughout each row, okay? So each address has its own row going across the whole entire document. If you have any comments that you would like us to know about, maybe just whatever you think we should know, you can leave in the reviewer comments. As we move over, we have leverage funding sources. So in this section, you will let us know what leverage funds you received, the utilities and power, weatherization assistance, or other grants in this section. Here, just let us know. So maybe you did an HVAC replacement with MEA money and you used your leverage funds for weatherization. Please let us know in this section here. What was your leverage funds covered by? Also, more information here about your leverage funds. Please let us know how much exactly you received from leverage funds. Please, if you have the information of estimated total electrical savings from leverage funds, we'd really appreciate if you had that information for us, as well as therms, and then any additional comments that you do have. So that covers the MRA portion of the monthly submission that you will be sending in every month. And you will notice down here, this is for July 2026. Each month you receive it, it will change to the month that you are reporting for. Like I previously said, this is one document. So we flip and hide and allow you to edit certain sections of each spreadsheet. So at the end, everything is calculated in this section of the monthly summary. And in here, once you receive your MRA, you will have this section filled out where it says, okay, this is how much you were rewarded. It will also calculate how much you spent, and it will let you know how much you have remaining. The monthly summary is a good reference for you grantees to look back on and say, okay, this is how much I have left. This is how much I have left. This is how much I can spend. It looks like we have a question for multifamily buildings.
Yep, we can come back to the questions at the end if that's okay.
Okay, yes, great. Thank you, Angel. Okay, so we went over the monthly summary. This section here is just a great reference for you grantees, like I mentioned. Everything is filled out. No need to touch anything on the monthly summary. MRA is all on you guys. Then we move to, we'll skip the ESW as of right now because my colleague Evan will review that. We will jump over to the monthly. This section here will also be automatically filled out. This will not need any grantee's attention until you get to the bottom here. Anything that is in this tan color is an indication that you need to fill it out. So for instance here, you need to fill out the name, the admission, submission date, the title, and signature. Signature is very important. I have noticed that some grantees do not sign it, but we would love to have a signature because it's not a complete form documentation until it is signed. We do have, these sections here will be locked so that you cannot put any information in that you shouldn't be putting in, as well as changing any formulas. With that being said, we have found that some way those can be overwritten, which I look at every single month to make sure nothing is overwritten, to make sure that the monthly summary is completely accurate. So we do have that in applied to this document. Estimated energy savings. This is completely filled out on my end. You will not need to fill out anything here. This is just a good reference for the grantees. It lets you know what your simple paybacks are for each month, as well as over here, you can see how many hours were worked for each month, your electricity demands, your fuel consumption, things of that nature. So this is also a great reference for the grantee. As mentioned, there is a definition section, which is very helpful. We have lengthy descriptions of what is allowed, what's not allowed. So please use this to help you throughout the monthly submission. Okay, with that being said, you need to fill out the MRA every month, as well as the ESW. And at this point, I would like to pass it over to my colleague, Evan, as he has created this template and has more information on it. So thank you very much. And Evan, on to you.
All right. Thanks, Rebecca, for introducing me. Thank you, Angel, and everybody at MEA for hosting and running this program. And thank you to all grantees for being here, ready and eager to serve the beneficiaries of this work that you're going to be doing. All right. So, as Rebecca said, I am sort of the architect of the MRA worksheet as a whole, as well as any other Excel sheets that you work with as part of this program. And one thing that I want to kind of review before I start with the overview of the energy savings worksheet tab specifically is that on a whole workbook level, generally we already always have locked, protected all tabs of the workbook, with some limited exceptions for grantees that would routinely request additional rows be added because they do work on a scale exceeding what we supported by default. In recent years, we have added more rows to the MRA tab by default. So now all grantees will have their workbooks locked with no exceptions to avoid accidental overwriting of formulas. Note, however, that if you do not use an official version of Microsoft Excel, I cannot guarantee that the protection functionality will work properly. So if you use Google Sheets or Numbers, or perhaps open source software like LibreOffice Calc to edit this, to work on your monthly reporting, then I cannot guarantee that the worksheet protection functionality will be working properly. And so you may accidentally end up overwriting some formulas that some of the functionality here depends on, right? So if possible, please use an official version of Microsoft Excel, whether that be the desktop version or a web-based version in Excel 365. That would be ideal. Additionally, so the data entry cells throughout this workbook are color-coded, as Rebecca alluded to. If you see a light tan gold color, that is somewhere that you will type some sort of input. If you see a light gray, then that means that there is a drop-down menu that you'll be able to click on and select one of the options. In the ESW specifically, anywhere that you see this light tan or gold typing input, you will be inputting a number. There is one exception in the ESW where you may need to actually type text, but otherwise in the ESW, if you see this color, you will be typing a number and only a number. And generally I have data validation on these cells to make it impossible to accidentally enter text, make only numbers possible. However, like I mentioned earlier, any non-official, non-Excel spreadsheet software may break that functionality, so be advised. And so I'll get on to the section-by-section overview of the ESW now. So the order goes that it is in generally the same order as the invoicing columns of the MRA tab. First is lighting, then appliances, then HVAC, water heating, and home envelope, and then other. The first section is lighting, very straightforward. For any lighting installed, please enter information in all columns of this section. We do want to know information about the lighting that was replaced, as well as the new lighting that was installed, as well as characteristics about the building as a whole, in order to accurately estimate the energy saved by the work you've done. Right? Same for LEDs installed outside and hardwired fixtures. Section B, appliances, straightforward. Enter your data about the appliances that were installed. And again, numbers only in these tan colored cells. Drop down entry here if you install a freezer. The HVAC section is appropriately more complex than the lighting and appliances sections. Each, as stated in the FOA, you should be able to find there, before you do any HVAC installs, there are some additional requirements that need to be met. For any HVAC install, you have to do a manual J calculation, which will be, in fact, asked for. The result of that calculation will be asked for when you enter the data for your measure. You have to assure us that this building has been weatherized within the last 5 years, and that could be that you've weatherized this building as part of this same project. So it was weatherized the day before the heat pump or central air conditioner was installed. Duct tightness and duct sealing has to have been tested and considered for further work. And at least one of these requirements has to have been met regarding the original unit that is being replaced. The original unit has to be particularly inefficient, 10 SEER 10 or less. It has to be a calculated simple payback of the replacement measure of 15 years or less. And that will be your calculation. We're not going to we're not going to deny the measure after it's been done, because our calculation methodology is a bit more conservative and calculates a 16-year payback. Or the original heat pump does not retain its charge or runs on electric resistance. These are all valid reasons in the FOA for justifying an HVAC replacement. And the newly installed unit has to be Energy Star certified or have an efficiency value, or have all efficiency values able to be qualified for Energy Star. Right? So now we'll get into the specific measures. You're going to have each HVAC data entry section has 3 sections within it. One section about just the home or homes upgraded, right? So if you're doing a bunch of units in the same multifamily building, you may have the same manual J heating and cooling loads for all the units, and in that case, you'll put the number of units weatherized that had the same work done to them. This second section with the orange header is about the original HVAC unit that is being replaced. And there's an additional section about the newly installed unit. Please pay attention to the subheadings regarding the units of the values that we want to see. If it says BTUH here in the equipment size, please enter the value in BTUs per hour rather than in tons. If you do enter it in tons, we will see that and correct for it. We have, we have ways of seeing that, and and it's, the difference is kind of obvious. It's a factor of 12,000, so it's not going to slip by us unnoticed. But please save us the work of correcting it after the fact. And in addition, remember that gray is drop downs, tan is numbers in the ESW tab. Air source heat pumps is in the same layout as the central air conditioner. You may have noticed these blank placeholder columns. That's because we want to keep the central AC and air source heat pump layouts the same, matching as much as possible. Keep in mind that you may, for sections like these, you probably will have to scroll to the right unless you have a very high resolution screen that you're working on this and are not zoomed in at all. And so at that point, the air source heat pump data entry is the same as central air conditioner, except with some more information about heating efficiency and heating capacity. There is a separate section for ductless mini split heat pumps, or PTACs or PTHPs, or anything that's ductless. That will go down here in this separate section. We've got duct sealing. Again, you'll have to scroll to the right. This first subsection is about overall home characteristics, and then there are drop downs for the original duct insulation and tightness, and the new duct insulation and tightness. Keep in mind that if you do duct sealing but do not change the insulation value at all, we still need to know the insulation value, because that helps us to calculate the effectiveness of the duct sealing, right? So even if the ducts are, insulated at R2 or R4-ish, and you don't change that at all, we still want to see that. That will help us calculate how effective it was, how much energy it saved to seal it from leaky to tight. Right? Programmable thermostats are only eligible for reimbursement in a home with fossil fuel heating. Next is water heating. Heat pump water heater, same pattern. Home characteristics, original unit specs, new unit efficiency. Right. And last major section is home envelope. And again, numbers in here, drop downs here for air sealing. For insulate, we've got insulation here, attic and ceiling. A lot of rows there. And we've also got separate sections for wall insulation and floor insulation, as well as smart strips here. Here is other measures. Anything that is not encompassed in the previous specific data entry sections, but is otherwise approved, you will describe here. This is the only place on the ESW tab that you may type text in actual words. Every other tan entry field will be numbers. For this one, we will need an actual verbal description of what was done, including the, number of a thing that was done, as well as relevant specifications or other data. Section F is only for new construction and substantial rehab projects. Again, just like elsewhere, anything white you leave alone. It's either text that text that we put there and is not going to change, or a formula that you may accidentally overwrite. Here is, these tan cells are the only places where you will enter any data. In mechanical system upgrades and appliances, you will input the number of installations that were done. And here you will, if you're using the ERI method of incentive calculation, you will input the ERI of the building. So, you put 50 at, I thought I fixed that. I know I fixed that. You will input the ERI, and it will give you the incentive of the home based on that ERI. So, of course, the lower the ERI, the higher the incentive will get until you get to 45, at which point higher incentives are not possible because 4,050 is the max. All right. So that will conclude the overview of the energy savings worksheet tab. I know that for a lot of you, the most exciting part is filling out the MRA tab, where you tell us how much money we're going to pay you. However, the ESW tab is also extremely important and cannot be overlooked, because this is how we determine how cost effective your work was, which will also play a role in evaluating you for any future grants you may apply for the residential energy equity program, or let's be honest, whatever it may be called in the future. The name has changed a few times over the past few years, but we love it anyway. So with that, I am going to pass it back to Angel.
Great. Thank you so much, Evan and Rebecca. We realize that the monthly reporting attachments, affectionately called MRA, is it looks pretty complicated. And what some grant recipients choose to do is enlist the help of their contractor if they are not doing the work in-house to assist them with filling that out, and that is completely fine. At minimum, they should be providing you with all of the information necessary for you to do the filling out. And to be clear, your reporting is due by the 10th of the month for the work you did in the previous month. So it is my responsibility /Gus/Sean's to get you your MRA by the first week of the month, and then you will have until the 10th to fill it out and send it back. It gets complicated when you submit a late report because we have likely completed our processing, which means you get 0 for the month, and then you want to submit something, but we've already processed it. So please try to get it in by the 10th. If that's impossible, please let me know, and that way we will not process that month for you, and we will assess whether you can have an extension to submit it later. But we really do have a responsibility to get people paid as fast as possible, so delays do complicate that. I do also want to say, as a reminder, that MRA is the same attachment we're sending back and forth. It is a static document, which means if you change something after, that it didn't happen. So you need to be sending back what I send you. Download it, fill it out, save it, reattach that same document, and send it back to me so that we have a full 2-year cycle worth of information in one attachment. That is necessary for our reporting of the program on the back end. And we want to do as little cleaning up as possible when that happens. I did see some questions come in. So we talked about locking the document. That gets tricky if you have other versions of Excel, but please, Evan, very detailed, in a very detailed manner, explain which colors you should be touching and which you should not. So please adhere to that. I see that Doris Mason says, in order to ensure that our BPI certified energy vendors address every item which you are reviewing for us, has anyone created a checklist that they use to ensure that we get all of the data needed? MEA does not, but you may talk with some of the colleagues on the call to see if that is something someone can let you rip off and duplicate. I want to go back to, yes, Leitra, this is being recorded. We will upload it to our YouTube page. And once this is processed on there, we will send out the link. I want to also remind you that you'll get your MRA / solar reporting link. Nothing's changing with what you're submitting for solar, but it will be submitted on an online document. And what you are submitting is in your grant agreement for new grant recipients. Patty, for multifamily, unless you are doing limited upgrades or the substantial rehabilitation / new construction, you technically get the whole budget per unit, keeping in mind that you also still need to meet your paybacks and all the rules, but you still get the full budget. For a job that is leveraged or co-funded, wouldn't the simple payback include those costs as well? We are collecting both. So we can tell, we are capturing what is the payback with your leveraged funds, because yes, we should be calculating that helps your payback, obviously. And then we also want to see what MEA is, what we're able to get in energy savings with just MEA money. And that was for Gary Christopher. And I think I've addressed. So we have 5 minutes technically because I scheduled this for an hour, but I do want to open it up for questions. If your questions is specific to your grant, please give me a call separately. But if it's a general question you think can help your colleagues, please feel free to unmute and ask away.
I actually see a question from Tara Feltz here with regard to administrative costs. If there is an administrative cost associated with a specific address, then yes, you do put it in the line with that address. For any administrative costs not associated with a specific address, then you will create a new line for it. Like, you know, if you're using your administrative budget to, you know, maybe just gas money for, you know, travel costs while doing some startup work for your grant, right? But yes, for any administrative costs specific to associated with a specific address, please put those administrative costs in the same line as that address, because those administrative costs will contribute to the spending limit for that address. Thank you for your question.
I should mention here just really quickly, if you are requesting to do anything that is outside of that super long grant agreement, that is considered an exception, and you need to email the residentialenergy.mea email address to request permission to do it before you do it. We need to also let our Newport team know that an exception has been granted for our tracking purposes, making sure we're not kicking back things that are unallowable that were granted an exception for. And then if the grant agreement itself needs to change, that is called an amendment, and you need to submit a request through the link on our residential energy equity webpage, which you can search on energy.maryland.gov. So if your grant agreement needs to change, maybe you need an extension or a scope change or whatever is the case, please submit it through that link. I'll hold for a few more minutes for questions. So for our veteran grant recipients, your fiscal year determines what email address you're using. So I'm sorry that makes things a little complicated. This name change to residential energy equity, we hope accommodates the ability to add different technologies and change things around, so it's not specific to any one type of technology, but we will always be residential focused. Starting in fiscal year 26, we created the residentialenergy.mea email specific to that. But anyone who was granted grant agreements prior to fiscal year 26, you will still use that other inbox. Okay. Thanks, Jim. Jim's a star, Doris, if you want to reach out to Jim. He's got all the info you could potentially ever need. So yes, this will be recorded once it is finished processing and we get it onto our YouTube channel. We will send out a link to this recording, and you can send it to your colleagues that are going to be working on the program. And then you will be receiving your documents that you need in order to invoice in a week or so. And if you have additional questions, please feel free to schedule a call or reach out to us. Don't forget about turning in your 30-day required documents. If you have questions about that, feel free to reach out. And we're a minute over. If there are no questions, I shall let everyone go. Thank you for joining. Congratulations again. We're happy to be working with you. And we hope that we provide all the necessary assistance for you to be successful at deploying these monies. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, Evan and Rebecca. All righty, take care.